Alright, so I wanted to show you the tree variant. This was the previous video that I showed you, where we had this selection of the trees and we could move them around by simply selecting a tree, and you can see that at least the colors are moving. The colors had kind of faked it out enough for me that I felt like the actual objects were readjusting in position, but that's not the case. Every object in here is still exactly the same, and I realized a small bug after I had posted the video, or after watching the video and test. But anyway, so I watched the video, I saw this, and noticed that they really aren't changing. From angle to angle, it ends up looking a little differently just because the angles of the models are a little bit more unrealistic, so it produces this feeling like you're looking at something completely different when you look at a different angle. Like this one over here in the back corner looks like it's cut off at the top, but this one over here does not. So they look like they're different models. Anyway, that's not the case. As you can see, I move this and it flashes the different colors of green as the color variations take effect. But that was it. So I developed another one where, let me just grab this small tree. And now look at that one. I moved that one around, and this one is crazy. Now, one thing I'll point out is, you see all this white that's happening? We're in the scene view right now. For some reason, that shows up in the scene view, but it doesn't show up in here. You still get to see the full object, and all the edges show up. Or sorry, all the faces show up. But for some reason, the shader, when it gets far enough off its base, it appears that the Unity scene view doesn't end up supporting it as well. Anyway, but that's fine. But you can see that the model is very clearly being a lot more hyperactive, and this one is using the 4th iteration of the modulation shader I've been developing. What I also finished and upgraded was the Infinite Tree Runner. So let me go to the Infinite Tree Runner, and in this one we just see a start scene that's blank. There's nothing in here. In fact, if I were to show you the hierarchy, all there is a directional light, which we could remove that, and just go with ambient. But we have the track, and that's what's basically going to make the camera move forward in our infinite runner base. And then we have the main camera, which we can put some kind of free camera script to let it move around. Okay, but this one, let me go ahead and play this. Or let me remove the hierarchy first, put it back, and play. Alright, so what you're going to see here is the trees on an infinite display. They keep showing up here and they keep building up in the background. In fact, if I show you this, you can see it almost looks like a lawnmower, but the camera, as soon as a tree ends up getting behind its field of view, it discards it. Well, it doesn't discard it, it actually reapplies it farther up ahead. And then the idea is that fog or some other display cutoff would prevent you from being able to see where it shows up. And this one has 100 trees on it with a distance of, let's see, what was that? Track had the distance of 10. So it moves 10 meters forward. Or actually 15 meters forward, roughly. But it does have random. It can be random on top of that. Alright. So it moves 15 meters forward and then goes into a circle of approximately 5 meters. So it's going to be at least 10 meters away from the camera. That's all adjustable. But the key thing on this is the fact that every tree as this happens is different. So if I pause this, and let's pause it here. In this one we see a really more obtuse angle. And this one we see a more acute angle. So, and this one is nearly a right angle. So each one of these, they're coming up with different ways of appearing. So over here we've got the sharp angle that comes out, and this one it doesn't. It's folded back a little bit more. And in this one, the angle comes down just below it, and in this one there's this other side that comes out a little farther. But if you start looking at all the different trees, you start seeing a lot of differences show up between them. And that's the objective of the shader, so that we end up with one tree shader, one tree model that simply by its placement, it ends up completely altering the way it looks. In fact, let me keep it running, and I am going to change the shader's modulation level, or its magnitude. So right now it's at 0.03. Let's go to 0. This is where the colors don't pay attention to this. The colors are always adjusting anyway. So you see a lot of variation in the color. But the model, let's go with 0.01. There's a little bit of variation. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now these are really getting pretty crazy. But there's also a lot of difference going on between them. Alright, so that's the general idea of how this works.